Namaste, I'm Brad Terrell. Welcome to this Stalders Conditioning tutorial for beginners. In this class tutorial, you're going to learn how to bring yourself up in the Stalders position so that you could eventually work up to pressing in that Stalders position. So for this beginner tutorial, you're going to need some blocks available. And again, you can perhaps sub the blocks for perhaps some books or anything that you have at home that's kind of sturdy. And we're also going to need a chair or a box or something that you can sit on so that you can start drawing yourself up and just using that elevation as an advantage to start conditioning your body and your movements toward holding a Stalders position. So we're going to start this tutorial by focusing on our lat and tricep engagement, which is going to help our straight arm position, as well as finding more muscle recruitment of the subscapula, including the lats. So when you're ready, and noticing here that I'm actually not on a mat right now. So you can use a mat at home if you'd like, but for this specific floor that I have here, I can easily go through a class without having the use of the mat, but if you'd like to use a mat, go right ahead. So we're going to start in this all fours position. I want you to draw yourself back into a child's. You're going to tuck the chin to the chest, rolling out forward, moving shoulders past the wrists. As you start to move forward, really grip the fingertips to the floor, to the mat. Continue to move yourself forward as far forward as you can, working on the wrists, and then draw yourself back. Keep the chin tucked, moving forward and back. Just back and forth. Let's see if we can go for another 3, 2, one last one. Beautiful. You can shake out the wrists. So again, if we haven't really tried to strengthen the lats at all, then coming up in a Stalders will be difficult, and any arm balancing really will be difficult if you don't start to become more aware of the engagement of the lat as you start protracting the shoulders and finding more engagement from the upper back muscles and the lats. So we're going to do this one more time, except this time we're going to take a hand away, left hand to the right shoulder, tucking the chin to the chest, move forward. Again, find that engagement through the tricep, through the lat. Bring yourself back. Let's go 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Other side. Right hand, left shoulder. Tuck the chin, move forward. Again, we're finding that protraction into the shoulder. 5, 4. If you start coming forward and you're drooping down, your shoulder feels like it's up towards your ear, keep it away from the ear. Go as far forward as you can and back. Let's go one last one. Beautiful. And from here, let's just draw ourselves into a straddle position. And we can kind of work on the wrist a little bit. Beautiful. Now your initial straddle here, we're going to take just a few moments to kind of stretch out the hips, and eventually we want to try and get a better straddle position for the Stalders, but it's not completely necessary. You can do a full Stalders press without really having a super wide stance in your straddle position like I am now. So don't worry about having to maximize, but obviously if we get there, it will help. So from here, we're going to draw left elbow down and draw that right arm up, finding a nice stretch to the outside. the low back, the QL. Good, let's switch it sides. Toes back toward the shins, keeping that dorsiflexion of the feet. Beautiful, and back up. Good. Now from here, keeping your straddle leg position, I want you to place your left palm to the floor, right in front of you, and your right hand to the outside of your right leg. From here, you're going to do your best to lift yourself up, and this is very similar to what we've done in the L-sit tutorial, the ability to kind of pull ourselves back, keeping the shoulders down in depression and protracting. So left hand out in front, right hand off to the side. We're going to pull and attempt to lift our hips. So even if it's something like this, that's fine. But if we can, we're going to try and slide the hips as high up as we can, allow the heels to move up, and then slowly drop back down, and we can switch it sides. Let's go 6 to each side. And slowly down. Hence why I'm not using the mat here, because it's also kind of nice to allow the heels to slide back and forth. Breath is fluid. Again, find that engagement from the lat. Good, let's go one more to each side. Beautiful. And bring your legs out in front of you. Just kind of shake them out a little bit. Beautiful, and we'll bring it back to that Stalders position, or straddle. Sometimes confusing for if you're just starting to remember which is which. Straddle is anytime when the legs are out like so, so I could be in a handstand straddle, but Stalders is kind of bringing this with the inner thighs kind of locked to the forearm, and that's what we're working on here. So we're going to set the same way. The progression from that last movement is lifting ourselves up and then attempting to lift the leg and the foot of the side we're kind of leaning towards. So in this case, I'm leaning over to the right. I'm going to lift. I'm going to try and lift that right leg, even if I have to slide the foot and tap my wrist. And it's really this position here we want to continue to lift up and then bring it back. If you can, you're going to try and keep the foot off the floor the whole time. So notice how I didn't drop my foot here. Drop back down. Okay, same thing. We're going to have another 5 to go here. To each side, lifting up. And again, really try and lean as far forward as you can. Tap, and drop, tap, and drop. A nice little beginner modification, if you're having a hard time, is just going fingertips lift and drop, and eventually you want to get the palm flat down, really gripping to the floor. Get the core involved, especially the upper back. Let's go one more to each side. Beautiful. Again, you can shake those legs out. Beautiful. We'll come back to that straddle position. This time, we're going to allow ourselves to fold forward. If you're still not quite here where you can kind of relax the forearms down and draw the forehead to the fists, I highly suggest you keep the hands out behind you. Continue to move your chin and chest forward, as far forward as you can. And you also have the opportunity to kind of pulse in and out. Really feel that nice stretch to the adductor muscles. Beautiful. We'll take a final few breaths here into the straddle position. Relax the forehead down if you can. Toes back. Again, continue to pull the knees back toward the hips. Everything's being pulled back. Beautiful. And carefully drawing ourselves back up to our straddle position. You can bring the feet in. It's always nice to come into a cobbler's pose directly after working on a straddle or middle splits. Anytime we're really working on more so of an internal rotation, we now find ourselves in an external rotation. So you can continue to draw those knees down, chin and chest moving forward. Take a deep breath here. Exhale, see if you can draw your chin to meet the toes. Beautiful. Carefully drawing ourselves back up. Once again, we can find ourselves into a straddle position. I'm going to face the other way so you can have a better look at what I'm doing here. So now we're going to get into some compression drills. Again, very similar to the L-sit. Compression is going to help you with all sorts of arm balancing, especially the Stalders. So just grab your blocks, and I'm going to show you guys a nice modification that you can do with the blocks. And from here, even just kind of setting the blocks off to the side, see if you can pulse into a simple seated forward fold. So drawing chin to meet the toes and then back up. Let's see if we can go for 10 nice and quick. 9, 8, toes back. 7, 6, 5, 4, squish your belly onto the inner thighs and the quads. 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Good. Let's again shake those legs. Now from here, continue to focus on our compression. For the rest of the drills, I want you to try and point your toes forward. And again, the whole idea of compression is to kind of eliminate all the space that you may have between your lower abdominals and your inner thighs. So really pinning your belly to the inner thighs and keeping it there, gaining more strength, or the ability to really hold this position as much as you can. Eventually, you want to hold that same position with the legs out a little bit wider. So from here, I'm going to place the palms onto our blocks. Move your chin and your chest forward. Now the blocks and the hands should be just behind the knees. This is where you're going to get the most leverage out of this drill. So pressing down, you're going to try and keep your belly pinned to the inner thighs. You're going to lift yourself up and then slowly draw yourself back down. Let's see if we can go for 6, 5, 4, 3. If you need to reposition your hands, the blocks, go ahead. 3, 2, 1. Last one. Beautiful. Shake those legs out. Again, if you found this really difficult, I highly suggest you just continue to work on it. You can also change the height of the block. This may help as well, giving you a little bit more leverage to press down. It's possible though that your quads, your abductor muscles might be screaming at you right now. Very possible, but that's all kind of really great work towards where we eventually want to be in our compression. So from here, let's try and get rid of the blocks for a moment. We'll see if we can do the same thing without them. If you need to, you can just use the fingertips to the floor as a modification. So instead of palms down, use your fingertips. I'm going to do both. We'll see if we can do 6. I'll start with fingertips. 6, 5, 4. Now I'm going to go palms. 3, 2, last one. Beautiful. Again, shake it out. Great. Now one more compression drill that we're going to do, and we're going to look at compression a little bit later in this class when we work up toward the Stalders, but this one is also just really great to fire up those quads, fire up the hip flexors, and really get that compression strength built in. So we're going to do the same thing. If you need to, place your hands onto the blocks, place your fingertips down only. The progression, or the harder version, again, is keeping those palms to the floor. So if you can keep the palms to the floor, you're going to find yourself in compression, lift yourself up, and then flutter the legs. We'll see if we can go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Shake it out. Good. All right, so these next drills that we're going to see are going to be very similar to what we just did, except we're going to be bringing the legs out wider, and we're going to really focus on creating a lot more strength to the hips. So very similar to the last drill, where we can kind of use the blocks to leverage ourselves. So if you are having a hard time, go ahead and grab the blocks and continue to use the blocks to do this next drill. So palms in that same kind of lifting position off to the other side. What I want you to do here is really lock yourself down, try and pin your belly onto the inner thigh. You're going to lift the leg up and then slowly release down to the other side. Pin your belly, lift, and release. Okay? 5 more to each side. Lift. Try and keep the inner thigh pinned to the belly. Other side. If you are using the blocks, what you can do is just kind of keep your hands onto the blocks as you lift. And continue. We'll see if we can finish off here. 2 more to each side. Beautiful. Shake it out. Good. Now the progression. Again, if you're having a hard time with this next one, continue to do what we just did. Use the blocks if necessary. You're going to lift, very similar, lift up. You're going to bend and really try and draw your foot as deep in as you can. So in fact, you want to bring your hands a little bit closer so your hand doesn't get in the way of the foot. Try and draw that heel as close to your glute as you can. Extend back out and drop to the other side. So again, hands a little bit closer this time. Lift, bring the heel in, extend back out to the straddle. Okay, 5 more to each side. Keep the breath fluid. Continue to lean forward as much as you can. Good. 2 more to each side. One last one. Beautiful. And shake it out. Good. All right, so we're gonna continue to play around with that. Use the blocks if you need to. Hands in the same position, we're gonna lift that leg. And then what we're gonna try and do is, instead of keeping the foot in dorsi, we're gonna try and point, and we're gonna try and draw tiny little circles, okay? So we're gonna aim for 5 seconds each to each side, and then we'll see if we can do a few more rounds of 10 seconds each if we can, okay? So use the blocks if you need to. Lean in, lift the leg, and we're gonna draw 5 seconds to the right, 5 seconds to the left, and then we're gonna go opposite direction, okay? So lifting ourselves up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, release. This time counterclockwise or to the left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Shake it out. Good. And again, if you're really struggling just with the straddle position, you can do this a little bit more narrow. You can lift, you can point, you can do all this work with a little bit more of a narrow straddle. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you enjoyed it that much, please hit subscribe. It means a lot. And if you're someone who's looking to take their practice to that next level, whether you're a beginner looking to simply improve their practice, or even an advanced practitioner looking to fine-tune their practice, head over to B Movement Academy, my own online school of yoga and movement, where you can find all of my premium content and exclusive programs that will meet you every step of the way to meet any of those movement or mindfulness goals. Most light and love. Namaste.